Good morning, beautiful wives. I hope you're doing amazing. All right, so we are here with another dare from our Respect Dare 40 days of a deeper connection with God and with your husband. We are on dare 16 and it's called Dusty Chandeliers. It starts with Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And she says that I love what she says right on the beginning. She says, sadly, few of us even think about having a positive purpose in speaking with someone else. Much of our communication occurs simply because there is a problem to solve or work to be done, as opposed to intentionally taking an opportunity to encourage our spouses, never mind other people. So, it really called my attention, this beginning part, because I call that the autopilot. Have you ever felt like life is on autopilot? Like you are on autopilot, your husband is on autopilot, all of your communications are autopilot. I believe that, well, let me restart. Our brains are designed to put certain things on autopilot so that it saves energy for us. I don't know if you knew this, but our brain is the organ that consumes the most amount of energy in our entire being, right? So God designed our brains in a way that it's capable of putting itself on autopilot so that we don't have to think of everything that we do. So for instance, you brush your teeth, you're not consciously thinking, let me grab my toothbrush and I hold it like this and I put the toothpaste like this and I brush it like this and I do it 7 times this way and then this way and then this way. You're not consciously thinking about the action of brushing your teeth, right? Because it's an autopilot action. It's an autopilot activity. It's something that our brain has learned to do on its own, and it no longer needs to waste energy thinking about the brushing of the teeth. Does that make sense? So that is wonderful. Is wonderful. God designed our brains that way. Thank you, Jesus. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get out of bed, how tired we are of how much thinking we do, right? However, if we are not careful and if we are not intentional about the words that come out of our mouth, our brains can turn it into autopilot too. And God never intended for our words and our interactions in our relationships to be automatic. He designed us for relationships. He never designed our relationships to be on autopilot. That has never been the intention. So, and we see that throughout the entire Bible, right? That we are relational beings, beginning with God and then with our husbands and then with our children and family and friends and all of the above. So when we allow our brains to put itself on autopilot for every instance of life, we begin to miss the opportunities that we have to build those relationships further on a daily basis, and I think that this is where Omar and I found ourselves, when we got into deep trouble, really, and I've mentioned to you guys plenty of times, that we were in a hard situation, and we realized that we had both been on autopilot, in different ways according to our own personalities, but both on autopilot nonetheless. Neither one of us were being intentional in building our relationship, and relationship is something we must build on a daily basis, and sometimes it can be exhausting, yes, especially when you are in a deep well and you have to climb out, because everything that is intentional requires thinking. We cannot put intentionality on autopilot, you know? So everything that is intentional requires thinking, and thinking wastes energy. Okay? So is it tiring sometimes? Yes. Is it easier to go on autopilot and pretend life is all good? 100%. But that's not what God calls us to be. That's not what God calls us to do. Okay? So the example she uses here is about it was a Saturday morning. I think it was a Saturday morning, and her husband allowed her to sleep in. She's super happy because she hasn't slept in I don't know how long. And then she says that she went downstairs and her husband had coffee made for her, and he was fixing the leak on the kitchen sink. He had already changed the lights on the light bulb, like he was on a roll, and when she bumps into the stairs for the second time because he still didn't put it away, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he changed all the bulbs and he didn't dust the chandelier. This chandelier has spider webs on it. We've been living in this house for 10 years and this chandelier has never been cleaned, So, I mean, mind you, let's take a step back. If it has never been cleaned, that means she never cleaned it either, right? Number one. Okay, so she chooses to go to the kitchen and to complain to her husband, how horrible can he be that he changed all the light bulbs and didn't dust the chandelier? Like, you are already there. Why don't you just dust it? Why do you leave things halfway? And immediately she saw his countenance fall. Why? She was on autopilot. Like, the first thing she noticed was the dust in the chandelier, and the first thing she did was complain about it because that is autopilot. Would we see the dust in the chandelier? 100%. Most of us probably would, but the stairs is already there. Either just go up and clean it yourself, or don't complain, or just ask him nicely, hey honey, do you think you can dust it a little bit before you put the stairs away? I'm so thankful that you did that. You see what I'm saying? But it's easy for us to look back and criticize people who did it wrong, right? And see how we could have done so much better in their position. But when we are the ones in that position, it's not that easy, right? So it's amazing how often we allow ourselves to go on autopilot if we are not intentional about our relationships every day of our lives, So anyways, the bottom line is speak words of encouragement. But if you screw it up, apologize it quickly. As soon as she saw that those words had come out of her mouth and that her husband's countenance fell, she apologized, She's like, oh my gosh, how disrespectful it is. I'm so sorry. I really apologize. And she was sincere in her apology. Let us be like her in the sense that when we mess up, we are quick to apologize. We are quick to own our responsibility, and that we are quick to try to fix our mistakes, Anyways, then she goes into today's there and she says it's easy but not simple. I would say, she says, not easy but simple. Yeah, that's what I would say. Very simple but not so easy. Regardless of what happens, as an experiment to help you understand your nature, only call to attention what is right and good. Refuse to find fault with anything, your coworkers, your friends, your husband, your children, what is done, what's not done, anything. Okay, so it is a simple there, but it's not so easy, right? So it is amazing how easy it is sometimes to really look at things and see what's not done and see what could have been done and see what is not so right. But our dare today is the opposite, is to see what is good, what it's amazing, what it's refreshing about each situation, and I would take it a step further, and I would compliment, I would be quick to recognize, when you notice something good about your children, about your husband, about anybody around you, mention it to them, speak it, be intentional in the words that you speak. Find something good to say about each moment. Find something good to say about things throughout your day. I will take that challenge further for you. So I am eager to hear what you have to share about this day and about what God showed you about this, there. And then there is a so what about you? And there is 6 questions for you to answer. And then pray for God to help you in becoming an encouraging person in your marriage and in other parts of your life every day. All right, so I'll leave you with that today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.